Hi all, very good afternoon. This is Nilesh here. I hope you can see my screen. I'll be the host today for the webinar on pCloudy 5.8. What's new in pCloudy 5.8 we have today. So I look after the pre-sales at pCloudy. I head the pre-sales at pCloudy, and I'll be I'll tell you what exactly the changes we are making this time in pCloudy 5.8, and also we will try to see these features live on pCloudy. All right. So the agenda for today's webinar is we'll quickly see the introduction about pCloudy. Right, this is for the benefit of all who are coming to pCloudy first time, those who have not seen the pCloudy yet. Okay, and also we will see quickly what's new in pCloudy 5.8 we have in the store, followed by Q&A. So in case you have any questions during the demonstration, during the webinar, or towards the end of the webinar, please feel free to ask these questions in the questions panel we have in the GoToWebinar window, and we will take up those questions towards the end. All right, so the next slide is all about introduction. Okay, so now I'm sure, I mean, there are so many participants who have joined this webinar. So there are most of them who are already using pCloudy. There are some participants who have never used pCloudy. So for the benefit of all, we will see what exactly pCloudy is all about, what features we have, what capabilities we provided pCloudy. All right. So pCloudy, if you really look at it, it's basically a device cloud. And to be precise, in today's world, we can call this as the continuous testing mobile device cloud, right? So it's a cloud wherein you get the mobile devices which are hosted remotely in our state-of-the-art data centers, from where you can acquire the devices remotely and perform different kinds of testing. You can do the testing on variety of mobile applications, right? And get the test results very quickly, do the collaboration and a whole lot of things. So what all applications or what different kinds of applications you can test on pCloudy? These are typically the native applications, hybrid applications, mobile web applications, and also PWA applications. So in case you are using either of this or combination of this, you can pretty much test those applications on the real physical devices, on the real mobile devices on pCloudy. All right. So these are the applications which you can use. Now, what kind of different testing you can perform on this? So typically you can perform, if you're practicing manual testing in today's scenario, you can pretty much continue that on pCloudy, perform the manual testing of your mobile applications on a variety of devices. The whole problem here today is we don't get the plethora of devices. We don't get the right infrastructure for testing. So that's what we provide through pCloudy. And you can perform the manual testing on these devices with whatever application you are using. At the same time, you also get the device analytics. Now, device analytics is very important when you are creating your test plans. You want to understand what devices you should be testing your application for a specific geography and stuff like that. So that's what you can actually get the whole insights from pCloudy for your testing. We also provide the test automation. Now, these are some of the key things which we bring on the table. Typically, the test automation. So, if you are using any open source test framework, maybe Appium, maybe Calabash, maybe Espresso, right? All these kind of test frameworks and tools are supported at pCloudy by default. It's kind of out of the box integration. So just in order to run your existing code on pCloudy, you'll have to do a small capability based integration by adding 6 or 7 lines of code in your existing test suite. But once that is done, you should be able to run your test automations on pCloudy devices. Now, when you're running the test automation on pCloudy, the advantage which pCloudy brings in is you can run the test on multiple devices parallelly. So you don't have to wait for the serial execution. You can pretty much distribute the test cases. You can run the same test cases on multiple devices and get the maximum coverage of your testing and reduce the time to market for your application, right? In addition to this, we also have a capability to provide you in-field UX testing. Once your testing, functional testing is done, once your non-functional testing is done, and before launching your application in the market, if you want to test your application in the market, in the field, you can actually use pCloudy. We have partners associated with pCloudy, and this platform will provide one-stop solution where you can perform pretty much everything here. Right? So these are different kinds of testings which you can do. Now there are multiple ways to access this particular platform. Right? The first and foremost is of course through web. Right? So we have provided a beautiful user interface for every user to understand and learn the platform usage within 10 minutes. Right, the learning curve is pretty small, so you can just open the portal from the mobile browser, any browser, standard browser, and start using the devices, start grabbing the devices, start installing the application on the device, and perform a whole lot of testing there. Right, so this is one of the best way to use this particular platform, which typically the test engineers and the business analysts are using today for performing tests on pCloudy devices. The second most important thing is via plugins or through CLI or through your standard IDs like Xcode or Android Studio. So in case you are a developer, in case you are a automation developer, right, and you need to run the test through your Xcode or through your Automation Studio, or you want to run through Jenkins and you want to run through CLI, right? So that's where you need the plugins or the CLI commands directly to connect to pCloudy. So both the ways are supported at pCloudy. Even if you want to run using the APIs, your test on pCloudy, you can pretty much use it. So both the options are available to access this cloud from from the user's machine. Now there are three different offerings which we have. The first and foremost is public cloud, which is basically the cloud which has access from across the globe, and we have 2000 plus real devices, browser and device combinations, wherein you know you can access these devices from two different locations. And we also have devices with real SIM. So in case you need a specific device from USA or India or elsewhere, you can actually look those devices here. There are certain devices with the real operator SIM. So in case you want to test your application with the real network data from a specific operator, you can do that. Or you can use the Wi-Fi connection to access your servers through your application. We also have a whole lot of features there which will help you to simulate different variety of network conditions which typically we see in the market to perform different tests. So this is a subscription-based model wherein any user across the globe can just come buy the subscription and start using our public cloud and get exposed to a variety of devices, as I mentioned, on the cloud. The second offering which we have is on-premise cloud. This is typically for the enterprise customers who do not want to use public cloud for the security reasons, or they do not want the devices to be shared with other customers, or they want a dedicated set of devices. If that's the case, then they should go ahead with the on-premise cloud, and that's what the offering which we have, which is basically a dedicated cloud, and it will be installed on the customer's premises behind their firewall. So we come there with our cloud infrastructure, we set up that cloud infrastructure behind their firewall, and customers can plug in their devices, whatever they have invested on. So they can leverage those devices by plugging into this cloud and create a beautiful lab which can be used by their team members spread across different locations. So the collaboration can be achieved. There's a huge savings if they are going ahead with the on-premise cloud, in case they do not want to do not want to use the public cloud. The third offering we have is basically called private cloud. Again, Private cloud is nothing but a dedicated cloud which is reserved for a specific enterprise. But this will be managed and hosted by pCloudy in our own state-of-the-art data centers. All right, so we will be creating a separate instance in our data center with specific fixed set of devices which will have access to a specific organization, and that's what we are referring to as a private cloud for a specific organization. So the advantage here again is for both on-premise and private cloud is the end users of the enterprise is getting 24/7 access to the devices which they have opted for. All right, so these are the three different offerings which we have. Now, I just wanted to run through this small quick introduction to understand what offerings we have, what are all things users can do, because some of the participants who are attending it first time, they do not know about pCloudy. They'll just get a fair idea what exactly we are doing it. Now, in order to understand more about pCloudy, how to use it even for manual testing or automation testing or doing certain other aspects, they will have to register. You guys can please register on public cloud and explore all these areas. Now, coming to the next slides, which is basically the agenda for today, is what's new we have in the store today with the launch of pCloudy 5.8. So if you see, we have mentioned 5 different points here. The first is about Android QR code support for automation. In 5.7, we have made a release for Android QR code support. That was for the manual automation, manual testing. So you can now do the test of your mobile applications which needs either QR code or barcode scanning, right? So same thing we have extended in this support for the automation. We are going to see a quick demonstration about this after a while. The second one is about Wildnet setup upgrade. So we are having certain thing, a feature called Wildnet, which is nothing but a feature to be used for doing the staging environment testing or pre-production setup testing, wherein we route all the requests from the device, which is actually available in our data center, to your local machine, right? And that way we can access the restricted network from mobile devices via your workstation, right? So this feature we have with pCloudy since long, but we have done certain upgrades here, and we'll talk about that in this particular webinar. We also have the full support for Appium 1.19, the latest one. We have the ObjectSpy support. So when I say ObjectSpy support, we already had ObjectSpy support for this platform since long, but we have done certain changes in this. We have given more support for the latest OS versions, and we are going to talk about that. And at the end, we'll be seeing and talking about XCTest integration. So with the increasing demand from the iOS developers and iOS test engineers, they want the XCTest integration to be available with pCloudy so that they can run the XCTest iOS automation test cases using XCTest, and that's what we have provided it here. So this is what we are going to see today in the upcoming slides. All right, so as I mentioned a while ago, QR code scanner, right? So this feature, as I mentioned, this particular thing is you can I mean, any user can perform it on the QR code or barcode functionality. So if you have an application which needs the QR code to be injected or barcode to be injected or scanned to, very precisely from the camera application, right? That is something which is possible on a remote device. Right, so see, the device is not in your hand. The device is physically kept in the data center, which the user is accessing it remotely, right? And even if you are doing it manual testing or in an automation way, there has to be a way for you as a user or to your automation engine to understand that you have to insert an image or scan a particular image. Now, since the devices are kept remotely, there is no manual intervention. This is a challenge. So we have created a feature which will help you to inject the image. So basically, we instrument your application first, and then the moment you install your launch your application and try to click on the QR code or barcode for the scanning purpose, it will open the camera application, and that's where we will be injecting the image which the user wants. All right, be it from a manual testing perspective or from the automation testing perspective, but user has all freedom to inject whatever image they want, right? And once you inject that image will be fed to the API level at the camera API level, and that image will be taken by your application, and then your application will perform certain things on that and will do the next necessary actions on that. That's how the QR code scanning works with pCloudy. Now, with this feature enablement with for manual and automation, of course, users can test, the different kinds of applications, maybe the payment or shopping or transport, because these are the segments wherein these days QR code and barcode things are used. And currently, as I said, like we are always improving our platform, and the QR code scanner for the automation we have introduced for the Android devices at this moment, and very soon you will see the same is extended for the iOS. But currently, for all Android devices, you can perform this. So this for this QR code thing, we are going to see the demonstration, live demonstration in a while. Let's move on to the next part to just show you. I'll talk a little bit here and I'll tell you what exactly we have done it. So Wildnet, as I mentioned, this is basically the version 2.0 which we have released in this. With version 1.0 and 2.0, if you really look at it, from the feature perspective, there is no change, or the UI perspective, there is no change. It is more of a stable version wherein you can now make sure that your device, the tunnel, the connection from your local machine to the pCloudy server is more secure and more stable. So if you create one Wildnet connection from your local machine, it should work for both Android and iOS as long as you want. And there were certain issues in the earlier Wildnet feature when we were actually getting certain disconnects, so those things are fixed here, and that's what it is there. So when somebody is using today 2.0, right, they will have to delete their old files. They'll have to take the new files and start using the new files. I'm going to showcase you the new files here. XCTest automation, as I said, this is for the users who are more from the iOS side and they want to run the XCTest, which is getting developed on their Xcode, and they want to run it on pCloudy. It was not there earlier. With this feature, we are having the support for this, and this is what we are going to see it in a while. All right, this is what we are going to show you in a while in the demonstration, how you can perform this. And yeah, as a continuous improving process, we have also added same modules and same versions device support for running the automations on variety of devices. So this is something which we were getting it from the market, that we need the same models, like they're for example, iPhone X, we need 3 or 4 because we had only one in the beginning. So we have added multiple number of models for the same model, and also the same versions devices, in order to give you better visibility of the devices, and you can make those devices used in your automation. Support for Appium 1.19. Now, you know that the Appium versions are getting frequently released in the market. We always have a challenge to provide you the support for the latest servers or latest versions. So what we have followed so far is we always try to give the latest stable version on pCloudy, right? So far we had 1.17, and now we have moved to 1.19 because 1.19 is the most stable in the current software upgrades from Appium. So Appium 1.19 is something which we have provided with this release, which will have more stable version of the Appium. And it also has support for iOS 14. So in case you are using iOS 14 devices and you need the test automation runs for iOS 14, now you can pretty much run those on pCloudy devices as well. ObjectSpy. For the ObjectSpy, we have extended the support for iOS 14 and Android 11 because these are newly launched or introduced OSs in the market. So our ObjectSpy, the inbuilt ObjectSpy feature, which basically allows you and helps you to find the object elements of your application for the native applications. Those were not supported earlier for iOS 14 and 11, so we have provided the support for that. So in case you want to create the new automation test cases for either iOS 14 or 11 today, and if you want to start that, you can pretty much start on pCloudy devices. So we are going to see certain things about this. I will quickly showcase my screen where we can see the ObjectSpy for iOS 14 and 11, and I'll also show you about the Wildnet. And towards the end, then after this, I will show you the XCTest and the QR code scanning part. Yeah. So what we will do here is, now let's go to device.pcloudy.com. I think I need okay, pretty much there. So let me first connect to any of the device and show you this. So let's connect to iPhone X, which is basically 14.0.0. I'm just opening 14.0.0. This is the way you can actually connect to any of the device for manual testing. This is for the participants who are attending it for the first time, who do not know much about pCloudy. So you can see now we have quickly acquired the device for testing. Now let me quickly install the application. So I'm just clicking on install, and I'm saying this is the hotel application. So I'm just installing this application. It's that easy. You can simply click on the application which you have already uploaded to the cloud drive, and the application got installed. I'm just launching that application, and this is my test application, right? So now if I have to do the automation testing for this, right, you need the object elements, right? So you can get the object elements. Now this is the version 14, which was not had the support earlier for the ObjectSpy, and that is what we have in 8.0, and that's what we are going to see it now. So you can go to the default mode, which is on the top right corner here, and which says default mode and ObjectSpy mode, right? So I need to click on ObjectSpy mode in order to move the device to the ObjectSpy mode, where I should be able to look at the different objects, right? So this is the screen which a user is going to see. Now I have to click on this start button here in order to start the ObjectSpy. Okay, when I click on this, the ObjectSpy engine is started on this, and if I hover my mouse on any of the element, for example, menu, I'm clicking it, right? So I should be able to get the things for this, right? You can see here I'm getting the whole object tree here, the entire hierarchy, and I should be able to use it. Now I also have something called Finder here. If I go to Finder, if I just go and say I want to look for a name, I want to say search type contains, and if I just wanted to say menu, for example, okay, let's me just check menu and find. So it will go and find it. So it says, okay, it has not found yet. Let me stop and start it again. Okay, so there is some, because I've changed the screen resolution of my device. It's coming here, but actually it has moved a little bit. So you can see now it has actually shown me the about thing, right? So this way I can actually do the testing or get the elements for uh, iOS 14 from here. So this particular feature was not supported earlier for uh, iOS 14. So that's what we have. Let me just make it a little small, maybe perhaps with the small resolution it should show me. No, it's going to the full screen mode. Okay, and same way you can actually do or use this particular spy mode for the Android 11. So if I just go to Android 11, which is the latest version. Let me just go Android 11. Okay, unfortunately, all the Android 11s are busy right now, but pretty much same way you can actually use it for Android 11. And uh, yeah, with this now, in case you want, you can use the Op65 with that. So let me go back to Android 10 and connect to any of the device and show you the other part. Yeah, let's connect to this device. Okay. So this is the Wildnet thing. If you can just move your Wildnet, your mouse on the Wildnet feature here, you can see it says the version of the client utility needs to be used from. Uh, Here, uh, if you are using it first time after 22nd November, of course you would have got the latest one. But those who are using it from long, they will have to discard their original file, and then they'll have to take the latest one from here. So when you click on this link here, it will take you to the device pCloudy's documentation page, where it will help you to download the appropriate files, the latest things, right? So let's say uh, yeah, so here you can see it is available for Linux, Windows, and Mac OS. So whatever you are using, if you are using Windows, you can just click on this and download this executable. Or for Linux or for Mac, you can download the necessary one and use this command in the same fashion as it was used earlier, right? So once you do this, we will create a tunnel from user machine to pCloudy server, and then all the requests, once that tunnel is created, you just need to click on this button, and after this, all the requests which are going from this particular device will be routed through your tunnel on uh, to your local machine. And from your local machine, whatever is accessible, whatever network you are using from your local workstation, that will be used by this particular devices. All right, so this is what we have from the Wildnet 2 things here. Now the upcoming Wildnet 3 feature, which we are launching in the next upcoming releases, that will be the absolute change in the UI, and even more easy for every user to use that, right? So we will talk about that later in the upcoming releases, but this is what we have. Now coming back to mm, the agenda, where we were actually talking about the uh, two features, right? The one is about uh, QR code automation, and the other one is about XCTest execution, right? So what I will do is, now I have some setup issue on my system, so I have got another machine where we are showcasing it here, right? So you can see my screen where we have the Postman shown here. Now this is the demonstration, a quick live demonstration about the XUI test integration. So you, as for the iOS test developers or the developers, if they have already created the test automation cases in using Xcode, right, and they have created a zip file, they can actually derive a zip file which will contain the application under test and the test suite from their Xcode directly. Now how can they run the test on pCloudy right? So we have currently provided, because it's a first version, we have provided two APIs, and that's what we are going to see it from here. So you can see the Postman, in which the first and foremost thing which you have to use is the authentication, right? So this is the authentication API which you are seeing it. When you click on that, this is the API which says test.pCloudy /API/access. So once you run this by providing your username and password, so if you see here, we have provided the username and password, right? So once you provide the username and password, after that, when you execute this particular API, you are going to get the authentication token, right? This returns the authentication token. So if you want to create pretty much everything in the automated way, you can pretty much consume this authentication token in the variables for the Postman, and then use it subsequently in subsequent APIs, right? But yeah, this is authentication token is pretty much needed. Once you have this, then you can go to the next API, which basically talks about get device list for the iOS, right? So when you say get device list for the iOS, what it does is basically it will give you the whole list of iOS devices which are available at this moment. And how to use that? You'll have to create this particular body which says which takes basically the token ID. So whatever token ID is created in the previous API request, that you can use it here. Then you say that, okay, I want the device availability for 10 minutes or 20 minutes or 30 minutes, depending on your need. You can put the duration, say platform as iOS, and you want to see whether the devices are available now at this moment, then you make it true. And once you run this, you're going to get the response in the JSON file or XML file. So right, you here is the response in the JSON file. Now once you provide this particular thing here, you can see every device is having a unique full name, device ID, which is like 97 for this particular thing, right? So you can use these device IDs, right? If you want to use device IDs, you can use the device IDs for your booking purposes, right? It has more model name and pretty much everything. So let's move on to the next API, which basically talks about automation booking for XCTest, right? So this is basically here we are booking the number of devices, right? So again, in the body, you will have to provide the token ID because it is for the same session, right? So you'll have to provide the authentication token ID, and then in the devices, you can pass the number as the device ID, right? Here you are saying 98. That is nothing but the device ID. Now if I write 98, it means it has taken one device which has device ID 98. If you want to run the test on, let's say, 10 different devices or 15 different devices, you can actually use those numbers here. Like after 98, you can put comma, put some other device number, comma, and keep on increasing the number of devices as you want. In this demonstration, we are running it on a single device, so we have taken only one device ID. Then of course you'll have to pass the duration and automation type as XCTest. So when you run this, you're going to get the automation ID as a output or a response from this API. So we have to take this automation ID like 1174. That's what we have got it, right? So that we are taking and using it in the init automation, right? In the init automation, we are using the automation ID as 1147, which is what we got earlier. I'm just writing it here, and then I'm just running. I'm saying the test suite, whatever test suite you have, right? So you can say maybe test monk dot underscore 11 dot zip. That's what we have, our internal thing. So we have used that. So once you provide this and trigger this API, the test execution will happen on that particular device which we have selected. Be it one device or 10 devices, does not matter. It will keep on running the test on those many devices, right? So you can see here it says automation initiated successfully. Once this is done, it means now the execution is happening. So if you wish, you can actually go to the device.pcloudy.com and also run go to the reports live view and monitor it from there, or you can just perform or constantly elsewhere, and once the execution is done, you can actually run it. So this is what is happening here on the iPhone 6. Okay, so So it's a quick demonstration there. We are just entering certain things there. We're getting inside. We're again opening this and entering with the new username and password. Just moving the controls from different things, and that's what I mean. Just for the sake of demonstration, quickly we have gone there. So once the execution gets over, it will release the device because automatically the release API will be called. But in case you are not, in case you do not want, let's say the test is running for a longer time and you want to, stop it. You can actually stop it from here itself. You can just click on release, or you can come to Postman and we have something called release API. Now this is an additional feature which we have provided. So in case you want to stop it, you can just stop it from here by calling the release API, and it will get cancelled. Now, once the execution gets over, because you have all the automation ID, you have the rest other things. If you want the performance data, you can actually get that. So you can see there is something called performance data for XCTest. What you have to do is you have to provide the token ID. You have to provide the automation ID, and then you say start device log, start performance data, and start session recording as true, and you're going to get all this data as your performance data in the reports folder. So if you go to the reports and go to the all reports, you're going to get all that information which we have selected. We have just opening the reports, and in the reports you can see the device here. Okay, so this way you can actually get to see this test cases are executed. This is the detailed information, what exactly we have done, how long it took, all that things you can get it from here. This is the whole log which was generated, and you can consume these logs as and when you want. All right, so with this, we have seen how the XCTest can be used or through your Postman or through API. Now, moving to the another part, which is basically talking about the QR code scan. Automation for the QR code scan, right? So this is a sample project which we have, the same sample project which we have on the GitHub. You can use that, but here we have made certain changes because this is for the QR code. So I'll just quickly walk you through what exactly we have done it. So this is a capability-based platform, as you all know. Here we have used the pCloudy capabilities like username, password, application name. This has to be provided, so your application has to be available there. And then if you see the line number 60 onwards, these are the standard things. No, not 60 onwards, basically from 55 onwards till 61, these are the standard capabilities for the Appium. After that, from 62 to 64, the last three capabilities, these are capabilities for enabling the performance. And then we have used the app package and activity name followed by the driver initialization. Now this is very common when if you have used pCloudy for automation run. So this is what this integration efforts I'm talking about. This is what we have to add in the code. Now coming to the next part, which is basically the test case. You can create a separate test case or you can add it here itself. So what we have done here is we have called driver.execute script. Now this is important, and you have to pass the first parameter as pCloudy underscore inject image, right? And then you can write the name of the image. Like in this case, we have written gpn.png, right? So whatever PNG images, whatever QR code or barcode you want to use in the given automation, you will have to make sure that these images in the form of PNG should be available in the pCloudy's my app data folder. Okay, the cloud location where you are keeping your application. At the same time, you'll have to keep all these images available. So that is a precondition. Once you have all the images in the appropriate position, you can call driver.execute script. In bracket, you can say pCloudy underscore inject image. That's the script which will be executed by pCloudy, and you'll have to provide the PNG name, the barcode or scan code image name, which we will pick up from the cloud and inject in your script in your application. So likewise, I have here multiple things. We have I think we have 2 or 3 times we are executing the same test case by inserting different barcodes, right? So we have gpay.png, barcode test2.png, and barcode test.png, right? So after every code, every image injection, we go back to the previous screen of the application and then insert a new one, right? So that's what we are going to see. So let's start this particular execution and see the live view, how it happens. So let's run this particular thing from the testng.xml we have used on this particular device. We are running it on one single device at this moment, Samsung Galaxy M20. Run. So when we run this, we can actually go to the live view and see how the execution is happening. So I'm going to the live view now. I'm just wondering, it should not get over. Let's see. We have put in certain slips there so that we can see what's happening around. Okay, let's connect to the Samsung Galaxy M20. Once you click on the live view, this is what the live view, you can see it here, and that's okay. So you see now the application is launched, and then this is the QR code which got uh, scanned, right? So it will remain here for a while, then it will click the back button automatically, and it will go back to the again sensing mode, where it will wait for the uh, new image to be injected. So this is basically talking about uh, Google Pay for Smoothie 131 at some address. Little hard to read because it's in landscape mode. Okay, see now, this is the second image which got injected. This is the second barcode, which is barcode scan test.2.png. Okay, now again, after this, after a certain interval, the back button will be pressed and a similar kind of image will be injected. This is about 2276, right? So now it will change to some other number because it is next year. So you can see 2264, right? So this way you can actually do the testing even for your barcode or scan code images if you have those kind of applications and you have the testing needs. You can actually see, you can see one test case is run and both are passed through there, right? So this way you can actually see the automation execution there for the things. All right, so this is what I wanted to showcase you from um, the features which we have released point of view. We will move on to the next slide, which talks about Q&A. So if you have any questions and answers, I'll be happy to answer your questions. So please shoot your questions if you have any. Okay, so there are certain questions coming up now. Just let me make it a little big so I can see what these questions are. Just give me a moment. Okay. All right. So will Objectify work for Flutter Dart applications? If yes, what attributes will it provide? So this is a question from Sandeep Kumar. Sandeep, currently this will work only for the native applications. Okay, Flutter native applications it should work, but Flutter Dart applications we need to check. I am not very sure about that. Maybe I'll get back to you personally on this after checking with the engineering team. The next question is from Arvind. XCTest report is from pCloudy. So this is not from pCloudy as such. As I said earlier, also we do not provide any test reports for any automation. These are the reports which usually generated by the framework. So same thing which we are providing. So in case you are looking for a specific kind of reports, you will have to use the extend reports or something or any custom reports, and you can generate those. But yeah, to answer your question shortly, no, we do not provide any reports. What reports we provide is basically called add-on reports, which is basically the performance of the application and the logs and the video for the execution. That's what we provide as an add-on report. All right. There is another question from Arvind again. Do we have similar report for Appium projects? So yeah, I think as I mentioned earlier, we do not create such kind of reports. These reports are coming from the framework. So if you're using Appium's default framework report, you are going to get it on your local machine when you are running it on pCloudy. At the same time, you are going to get the add-on reports, as I mentioned. Okay. There are a few more questions. Let me just see which one I can pick up quickly. Okay, there is a question from Sandeep again. For Appium Espresso, do we need to sign on our apps with other certificates? Um, you don't have to. You don't have to. See, if your Appium and Espresso app, the tests are running on your local devices, right? The same thing should work here. If it's an iOS application, then yes, for Espresso, anyways, if you're only using Espresso, I mean you're talking about Android. So now for Android, it is not. It is certainly not. You can use our certificates as well. Can we launch dual app in single instance, and can we switch between apps? Can we launch dual app in a single instance? If this question is for the manual testing, you can pretty much do it. If it is for the automation, then it depends on which framework you are using it, and if the framework has the capability to do that. Okay, if your framework supports, it should support, because ideally, if you really look at it, what we are providing is the right infrastructure. The device, mobile device, is what you are using it today by plugging into your local machine. The same devices we are providing it on the remote platform. So essentially, if it's working on your local device, it should work with pCloudy as well. I hope I've answered your question, Arvind. Okay, there is another follow-up question from Arvind again. QR upload automation works for both Android and iOS. See, QR upload automation things works only for the Android at this moment. We are working on the iOS part, and very soon it will be available for the iOS as well. But yeah, at this moment it supports only for the Android. Okay, so we'll take the last question for today because we have already finish the timeline here, and the unanswered questions I will answer personally if any, to the participants. Okay, so the last question from Muthu is asking for the XUI test, is there a way he can use it directly from other what is that? Yeah, can I use the API for XUI test other than Postman? Yes. So see, Postman is just a tool which you can use it for triggering the test. You can use any other platform, any other tool if you are using something else, right? You can also create the API request from the curl commands directly. You can write a JavaScript for that, and you can pretty much do it. So yeah, you can pretty much use Muthu in that way. All right, so there are few more unanswered questions which I can see it here. I will personally email to these questions and I'll write the answers in the interest of time. Well, thank you so much for joining the webinar today. I hope this webinar is useful for you to use the features in your current testing practices. Thank you so much for joining the webinar. Have a great day ahead. Bye-bye.